eligibility, but instead, it's a battle for the SEC East. The #1 team in the entire country has made its way to Athens, Georgia, to take on the Bulldogs in what could end up being a fight for a place in the college football playoff. A lot on the line here in Athens, and honestly, across the entire college football landscape, we'll get to all the good stuff for the next 30 minutes. Welcome to Count Up the College Gameday, presented by Dr. Pepper, Christine Williamson, Harry Lyles Jr., Harry Douglas in the building. I feel like I'm yelling right now.
Yeah, it's loud.
So loud out here. I mean,
Energy.
This is what we like. We like energy, baby. We like energy.
We like to start every single show with something that we call big. HCM, what you start talking about?
North Carolina's quarterback, Drake May. I don't think this guy gets the credit he deserves. He's balling out this year. Took about 29 touchdowns, which is tied for first in college football. 3 interceptions, completing 71.3% of his passes. He is my Heisman sleeper. He is the reason why North Carolina is ranked 17th. He's the reason why they're 7-1. And he is a flat-out baller.
It's a bad boy.
Christine.
Babyface Drake. That's what I like to call him.
Babyface Drake.
Looks like he's a little young.
Young whippersnapper.
Babyface Drake. Since we're talking ACC, I'll go next. All right.
You gonna talk ACC?
No, I'm not gonna talk ACC. I'm gonna talk about a team in the ACC, which you guys are not surprised about. But I'm talking about, and here's the thing. Do I think that Clemson should be in the CFP? No, I do not. Do I think they should be in the top 4? No, I do not. But I am here to give you guys a little bit of a reason why I feel like they're currently ranked in the top 4 of the first rankings. Me and Lyles, we didn't have an argument, but we did have a little of a disagreement earlier today. Now, here's the thing about Clemson. On the field, is DJ doing what he should be? No. We got Cade, though, as the backup, right? However, Clemson, when you look at the top 4 teams, Tennessee, Ohio State, and Georgia, has more ranked wins, teams that are in the top 25 of the CFP, than any of those other teams, including Michigan and Alabama, all the teams in the top 6. So, should Clemson be in the top 4? No. Should they be in the top 6? Probably not. Should TCU be in the top 6? Probably. However, there is a reason that Clemson is currently ranked in the top 4 of the CFP.
And we can agree it's a bad one.
It's a bad one, but the playoff committee did in fact justify them being in the top 4. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Nasty.
Lyles, what do you got?
Is this Tennessee offense against this Georgia defense? Yeah, I hit up the group chat last week when Tennessee was playing Kentucky, because it was just like, how do you move that quick on offense? Literally just getting back to the line of scrimmage, getting that next snap off, getting those big plays going. Even though this Georgia defense only returns 2 starters from last year's team, they are still great. If you guys ever follow the SP Plus rankings by Bill Connolly, it's adjusted for tempo and efficiency. These are the top two teams in what they do both offensively and defensively. This Tennessee offense, I love a good shootout. I am very interested to see if Georgia can even slow them down. They've had trouble getting to the quarterback, and they're going to be missing Nolan Smith. That's going to be a big loss. But to me, this matchup is going to be the one today that I'm personally looking forward to the most.
The defense, you up today.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
You gotta show up or show out.
Right.
It's your turn, though.
Right. There's definitely a lot on the line here today. Take a look at this.
And a quick strike for the Volunteers. Season-long party continues on Rocky Top. Are you watching in Athens, Georgia?
Jalen's been decisive. He's done a great job of winning one-on-ones, and Hamden's got great trust in him and been really accurate with football.
We have to bring physicality to the game, just explosive plays that we have to make down the field, and we have to be elite.
Tennessee plays their brand of football. They're very explosive. They go very fast. They spread you out, and they got a good running game.
Georgia picked it up. Dominant performance by the Dogs.
We always like to have 11 hats to the ball. We pride ourselves on being great tacklers, and to stop them, we have to be able to contain them and keep them in the pocket.
They're very technically sound. They play a brand of football where they fly around on defense.
I think our defense is tough, physical, well-conditioned, but we're going to find out how they match up against Tennessee.
The cheesiest with the cheesiest chain reserved for the college football's most passionate fans, the one who show up on Saturday feeling the cheesiest. This week's winner is Caden, who dressed up for some reason as Buddy the Elf. He will be sent a replica of the cheesiest chain, and also look at a year's supply of Cheez-Its. Our guy, Lyles, is standing by with Caden. What's good?
Okay, so Christine said for some reason Caden is dressed up as Buddy Delf. What, you want to tell us why you are dressed up as Buddy Delf?
It also goes with my sign because it's a line from the movie because Josh Stink, you smell like beef and cheese, man.
I think we got a Dogs fan right here, Christine. Hey, let's send it to these HD highlights. Let's see what HD's got.
Welcome to HD Highlights, and today we're going to break down the Tennessee offense and how they use tempo to put defenses in a tough position, but also exploit certain matchups. Here we go. They're going to send a guy in motion, the Tennessee offense right now. Just a little eye candy for the defense of LSU to throw them off their game. But I want you to focus on the wide receiver, Jalen Hyatt, at the top against LSU's third or fourth corner. He does a great job of stepping on this corner's toes. And if you're this DB, you must get out your back pedal much faster than that. Now, DB coaches preach. If you can read the name of the back of the wide receiver's jersey, son, you are wrong. And he was wrong in this case right here. Touchdown, Tennessee. Now, the next play we have, it's going to be all about tempo. You're going to watch the referee try to get out of the way, but he's not fast enough. Tennessee snaps the football. It's going to be another touchdown to Jalen Hyatt. But I want you to rewind this film back. I want to show you guys something. Let's rewind it. This is all about matchups here. You have Jalen Hyatt, the hottest receiver in college football, matched up on a safety for Alabama helmets. They exploited this matchup throughout the game. He's going to run a double move, and coaches always say if he's even, that means he's leaving. Touchdown, Tennessee. And the last one that we have is going to be against the game last week against Kentucky, right? You have 3 defenders right here over 2 wide receivers. Should be enough. You're going to get an in cut by Cedric Tillman. You're going to get a go route by Jalen Hyatt. Now, previous to this play, the Kentucky defense played it right, but the tempo of the offense allowed them to not play this coverage right, the corner chase. Now you have a linebacker that's 6'5", 240 pounds trying to guard a wide receiver that runs a 4.3. That is not right. 8 yards of separation. I know that's not the way defensive coordinators drew it up. That's how Tennessee gets teams over and over again, week in and week out. Now, we have a great matchup here in Athens today at 3:30, but we also have a great matchup tonight in Death Valley down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Daniels fakes the give, runs to the 10, 5, and into the end zone. Touchdown LSU.
He's a complete dual threat. He can run the ball very well. Knowing that he has that versatility to run and throw, but keeps us humble in practice.
Quarterback's playing really well. They've got great balance. They've got 3 really good running backs, and they're very efficient and effective in the way they're executing the offense and the things that they do.
Quickly, they get it off, and it's intercepted. This is Will Anderson Jr.
Front 7 is very good. Obviously, they got Will Anderson going up against them, and then the defensive back. They're going to force us to make those type of throws and make big plays in order to beat them.
Start with Anderson, an elite defensive player, elite in terms of not only his ability to rush the passer, but what they ask him to do. He does a little bit of everything. On the other side, Turner is an outstanding football player. You've got problems on both sides.
All right, so we have 2 hairy dogs joining us at the moment. This hairy dog here with Harry Lyles, and then, of course, this hairy dog.
We got a lot of Harrys.
I know. Oh, my gosh. So too many Harrys on set.
Do you?
Let's talk about Alabama taking on LSU. It's a top 10 matchup, right? Alabama hasn't been the Alabama of old, right? They lost, or almost lost to Texas. Had to win over them by 1 point.
Could have lost by
Could have lost to A&M. Yep. Then they did lose
to
Tennessee. So, things haven't been looking the same, per usual, for the time. Who do you trust more, Alabama on the road or LSU in Death Valley?
Alabama on the road. I mean, Brian Kelly and these guys ain't been here yet.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see. They beat Ole Miss, which kudos. I don't think Ole Miss is a dominant force by any stretch.
Right.
They barely beat Auburn, barely beat Florida.
Right.
So I like what their offensive system has become. They've done a great job of molding to Jaden Daniels, getting the ball out quick, more RPOs, letting him run the football with the picture is cloudy, but I haven't seen anything from LSU to make me think LSU's ready for this moment. So I think that's what it's more about for me than anything else.
And DP, I got to ask you, when you look at this LSU team, offensively or defensively, who's the one player outside of Jaden Daniels that needs to step up and make plays to give this LSU team a chance to actually win in Death Valley tonight?
Well, Butte was the guy, or Booty, whatever we want to call it this year, was the guy last year. Neighbors has been the guy this year at wide receiver, but it's got to be a catch-and-run offense. So one of those two guys have to catch the football. Listen, they got 2 freshman tackles. So they're not going to go, let's drop back 5-step, 7-step drop with Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. That ain't going to happen. So these receivers have to win out wide. And that was supposed to be the strength of their team, coming into this season. So which one of those guys can make the plays after the catch to make Jaden Daniels look good for it? He ain't got to run the football all the time. He ain't got to take all those hits.
And I will say this, the last 2 weeks that this LSU team has played, they did a great job of getting Kayshawn Butte involved with the offense.
Who's a freak. He's one of the biggest freaks in college football.
And it took a while for him to get going, so that's good for them. I am curious, Pollack, from your perspective with Alabama, we've seen a lot of penalties out of them this year. It almost cost them the Texas game. It almost cost them the A&M game. Do you think that they can afford to be that loose with it against this LSU team, given where they're at in this point of the season?
Yeah, and you're talking about, stupid amounts of penalties. 15, 17. I mean, it's crazy to watch them be that undisciplined, and I don't think it will. I don't think they'll do it again. I have confidence that off of a bye, I think they'll get some of this stuff cleaned up, some of this stuff fixed. I don't think they'll have those kind of mistakes. And if they do, I'm just about ready to write them off. I mean, because they're ahead of TCU already, and they've been very sloppy, and they have a loss, which is kind of crazy.
All right, that game tonight at 7 p.m. on ESPN. All right, let's talk about a team that earlier today you said that my team is going to lose in this one. Number 4 Clemson taking on Notre Dame. Now, the last time that we saw Clemson, they almost took an L to Syracuse. They had to change quarterbacks. Obviously, Notre Dame also had to change a quarterback. And since then, their rushing attack has been one of the best in the country since the switch. All right, which offense do you trust more today in this matchup?
Is neither an option? I mean, I trust Will Shipley and Maffa more than I trust anything else. And Will Shipley's a man, dude. Will Shipley has done a great job. So I guess if you ask me to pick, I would say them. I think this is an extremely low-scoring game. I think this is going to be close right to the end. I would not be shocked if Notre Dame found a way to win this game. Their offensive line is really good. Now listen, it's strength on strength. Clemson's defensive line is the strength of their defense. Notre Dame's strength of their offense is their offensive line. So I think this is nip and tuck, field goal to win it at the end.
Now, is this the opportunity for Marcus Freeman, the head coach of Notre Dame, and that team to turn their season around and get a victory against number 4 Clemson? And they also have number 9 USC at the end of the year. So is this an opportunity for them to turn things around?
I think both of those opportunities, I like their chances to stay in ball games. So, listen, Marcus Freeman created so much excitement over the summer. You saw the players and the way they responded. They were so jacked. You saw the recruiting pick up big time. They just got to figure out a way to win some games now. 5-3 ain't good enough. That's not good enough at all. Losing to Marshall ain't good enough. So can they get some kind of momentum piece at the end of the stretch so you can go, hey, I'm recruiting you. We're going to go get those guys. And he needs some playmakers on offense. He needs a quarterback. Obviously, they're very run-dependent, but I think I love Marcus Freeman, but creating that momentum for the recruiting cycle will be big.
And from a Clemson standpoint, we've seen them play all kinds of football this year. I mean, some great football and some really bad football. And most notably, we were like, what are they doing against Georgia Tech early in that game?
Right.
It's November. What do you need to see out of them today for you to take them seriously for the rest of the season?
All the teams that we talk about near the top of the rankings, you talk about Tennessee, high-flying offense. I know I can depend on them. Georgia, a little bit of both, but I know I can depend on their defense. TCU, I know I can depend on their offense. Michigan, I know I can depend on your offense. Ohio State, I know I can depend on your offense. Clemson, kind of good on offense, kind of good on defense, but not great. I don't think they're great at either one. So what's going to be the thing that carries this team? 3 wins over ranked teams, which is good, but all of them were 6 points. So all of them very close. Is that good enough to beat those other teams that are at the top that have really great side of the ball, one side of the ball taken care of?
All right, Clemson has won the last 3 out of the 4 matchups against Notre Dame. I guess that's promising for Clemson fans. Okay, let's go to this game. All right, number 1 Tennessee here in Athens, Georgia, taking on the 3rd-ranked Bulldogs. Now, I remember going into the season, you said that you didn't even think that Georgia would be in the CFP. Now, as I mentioned, they're ranked in the top 4 of the CFP. Georgia's still strong on defense, allowing 10 points a game. Balls, though, as you mentioned, the best in the country on offense, almost 50 points a game. According to ESPN Analytics, the winner of this game has a 99% chance to reach the SEC championship.
actually agree with that percentage, by the way. I do agree with that. Yes, it's gonna happen.
Okay, who has more in this state today, or in this game today?
Georgia has more. Tennessee's already beaten 6. Tennessee's already beaten 10. Like, Georgia beat Oregon, but they don't have another great win. So I think Georgia playing at home, the only way they stay in the playoff contention with a loss is if this game is a barn burner and you go back and forth, and you say, if they played again, I feel like Georgia could compete or win the game.
Yeah.
But if Tennessee loses, they're still in the mix.
Yeah,
like, Georgia has to play Bama.
Yeah.
Tennessee's already beat Bama. So I think it's more important to Georgia today.
Yeah, but I look at this matchup. You looked at the game last week, Kentucky, Tennessee. Kentucky had some success running the football. This matchup last year, Georgia had a ton of success running the football. Is that the recipe to, number one, win this game and to slow down that offense led by Hendon Hooker?
The less touches he gets, the better. So if you can run the football and eat some clock, but Georgia likes the tempo too a little bit. So I think the matchup is, can you score points? Because you can talk about Georgia's defense and being great. Tennessee's going to get there. I got no problem saying Tennessee's going to score 30. I'd be shocked if they didn't score 30, maybe more than that. They might get to 40. That's how crazy that is. So I think it's more of weakness on weakness. Tennessee defense is their weakness. Georgia's offense is their weakness usually that we talk about. Can Stetson Bennett do this? Can Stetson Bennett do that? Which one of those shows its ugly head? Who can hold serve? Like tennis. Who can hold serve a couple times?
Look,
That's about it.
I gotta ask you this though. Can Georgia afford to get in a shootout with Tennessee?
Yeah, they got the Yankees to do that. But again, do you want to? No. But are we done with the Stetson Bennett thing? I think we all trust Stetson Bennett now. Sure. So I mean, they got firepower. Now listen, receiver position for Georgia hasn't been great. McConkey's got the yips a little bit. He's messed up more than you saw a year ago. A.D. Mitchell's not healthy still. Arian Smith is still getting reps, but somebody's got to make some plays outside. But Tennessee struggles defensively against tight ends. Really bad against one tight ends, worse against two tight end sets. What does Georgia like to do?
Tight ends across the board.
Tight ends across the board. So I think both offenses are going to do great.
Now I got to ask you about Nolan Smith. Not playing in this one, leader in tackles for loss. Just how big of a loss is that?
And if you knew Nolan Smith, dang, that's loud.
Sure is, man.
If y'all knew Nolan Smith, every single one of y'all would be a fan. Y'all would love it. He brings juice. He brings energy. Like, he is the life of the party. That kind of stuff you can't replace. You can't replace a guy that has so much juice. Good Lord, that is loud. So I think it's going to be a critical loss. I think it hurts their defense big time.
Pollack, I would love to see you twerk. He said, don't stop, twerk that. No.
I'm not twerking nothing. I ain't that old. No, I ain't doing that.
Pollack, as always.
That's like a whipping a nay-nay you want me to do.
Just one out. Okay, fine. Anyways, I was going to say, as David Pollack would probably agree, Athens is one of the best college towns in America. We caught up with two sisters who have made Georgia football a family affair for generations.
My mom used to tell us when we were kids, and she was not wrong, that she said our livelihood rests on the shoulders of 18 to 20-year-old football players. Some years it's great, some years it's a challenge. It definitely keeps it interesting through the years.
Graduated Georgia in '68, went to work for Sears, and then in 1975, I heard the Balfour Company wanted to open a rah-rah store in Athens, Georgia. And I came down and interviewed, and we opened the store in 1975.
Growing up in this business and in Athens, it was, all I can remember is going to the games as a little kid and watching Dad go back at the beginning of the fourth quarter to open the store. We'd watch him cross the bridge and just, same seats for as long as I can remember. I mean, it's just so many memories that revolve around football and tailgates and our stores, and it's just real special.
Being around the store, they loved to help customers, and when they were 5, they were just real helpful.
I think the legacy that they created started back in 1975 and carries on. Proud that we can do that.
My favorite thing is being able to carry on what our parents started and doing it together as a family.
It's kind of fun having the whole gang in the same business.
I mean, we're close anyway, but I think that sharing some of the stresses and joys and, all that goes around the business, I think it's special to have each other for that.
we know and our husbands know and our parents know what it's like. So it really has a strong bond that brings you together.
All right, guys, coming up on game day this morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, Kirby Smart joins the show ahead of number 3 Georgia's big game versus Tennessee this afternoon. You're not going to want to miss that. Then at 10:05 Eastern, Napa Valley is known for producing some of the finest grapes, and Georgia tight end Brock Bowers. Marty Smith has the story of how those vine-covered hills helped land Bowers in Athens. Then at 10:35 Eastern, Jen Latta sat down with Minnesota quarterback Tanner Morgan, whose father once earned the team dad distinction from P.J. Fleck. Now his father is continuing to impact the team even after his passing. Then at 10:55 a.m. Eastern, the reigning Heisman winner Bryce Young sits down with Gene Wojciechowski to discuss this season at Bama and how things have changed after their loss to Tennessee. To take a look at who has the Fansville advantage presented by Dr. Pepper. And for this, we look ahead to next week's games and talk about who has the home field advantage. Lyles, you go first.
I got Texas playing TCU. This ain't really a state championship game because Texas has already kind of, tanked it, whatever. But I still love this matchup because TCU can be hot, they can be cold, but when they're hot, it's a fun matchup. And we've seen how good Quinn Ewers can be. That Texas crowd is fiery, they're passionate. I think that's going to be a great one.
I'm going to go Alabama at Ole Miss. We were able to go down there last year. Right. The Grove, nobody tailgates like people at the Grove. They got on their suits. Everything is done with the pinky up in the air. They're sipping their cup of tea. The whole nine. You talk about a hottie toddy on 3, hottie toddy on me. I'm going with the Ole Miss route.
They also are very kind out there in
yes, they are.
I like that pain in the head. Yeah.
Yes,
they're also very kind. There's a hot sweetheart. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you here. So that's definitely an advantage for them also. Okay, let's look at some other games that are happening this week. And we start in the Big 12 and what is surprisingly a top 25 matchup. Number 24 Texas Tech, number 13 Kansas State. The Wildcats coming off of a 48-0 blowout over Oklahoma State. Lyles, who do you have in this one?
I got Texas. I still like what they're doing. I love their weapons. I'm obviously a big fan of Bijan Robinson. And to me, Kansas State isn't consistent enough. I feel like they used up all their points last week. Texas don't get them today.
All right, ACC matchup. Wake Forest, a pair of 6-2 North Carolina teams facing off today. HG, the Wolfpack haven't been the same since they lost Devin Leary.
So surprisingly, in this matchup, I'm going to go with NC State because of MJ Morris. He came into the game and replaced their other quarterback, Chambers, last week. Threw 3 touchdown passes in the second half. I love the energy that he brought within his team and got those guys rolling. So I'm gonna go NC State because I do not like the 7 turnovers that Wake Forest had against my Louisville Cardinals last week as they got stuffed up there in Louisville.
He's a little salty. Okay, this Big 12 matchup, TCU fans probably a little salty after the CFP rankings, but they're looking to go 9-0 for the first time since 2010. The Hypnotoes scoring 35 or more in every game this season. Max Duggan slowly creeping up in the Heisman list. They have 3 wins over teams ranked in the CFP, and yet are only the number 7 team in the initial CFP rankings. How do you feel about that, Lyles?
I mean, Christina, it sounds like you just laid out why they should be salty. I mean, that blood pressure, I know that's kicking. I mean, look, we've seen them on the field. The resume stacks up. I think that they should be no worse than 6. I think you could put them as high as 5.
Yeah, you agree?
TCU?
Yeah.
They should not be where they are right now.
Where do you think that they should be?
I think they should be 5. I would actually push Clemson back to where they are. And I would put Michigan at 4, TCU at 5. And wherever else you want to put everybody else, that's where you land. Yeah. But I do believe that Clemson should not be the number 4 team in the country.
Okay, so you said that Clemson should be the number 4 team. You don't think that Clemson should be the number 4 team. Do you think that Michigan should be number 5?
I like Michigan at 4. I do. I think what they've put put together. I was hard on Michigan early in the year because they had the most softball schedule I think any of us have ever seen on conference-wise, but I think they've shown since then that they are a legitimate team.
Yeah, I think Michigan should be number 4. When I look at their run game and their staple, when you see Michigan or you play Michigan, you know they're going to be physical. You know Blake Corum is coming at you, Edwards is coming at you, but no one can stop them. So they're going to do what they do. I think they deserve. I don't worry about the schedule and whatnot. If the two teams played on the neutral field right now, I think Michigan would beat Clemson.
Comfortably.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this matchup today here that we're at right now, Tennessee and Georgia, obviously there's a lot on the line, right? Georgia, whoever is losing this game, they're both undefeated. Whoever loses this game has one loss on their season. Obviously, Alabama has one loss, will most likely be in the SEC championship. So whoever wins this game might not be, or loses this game, might not be in the CFP. Do you feel, though, that let's just say Georgia wins this game, Tennessee then has one loss, they're not going to play in the SEC championship, Georgia goes and loses to Alabama in the SEC championship, is there a chance that the SEC has 3 teams in the college football playoff?
HD called me earlier this week, and we talked about this for probably 10 or 15 minutes, and we were not planning on doing that, right? We were supposed to just catch up. I think that there is a chance.
Right.
Just because Tennessee already beat Alabama.
Right.
If they keep winning out, I mean, you can't look at what they've done up until this point and tell me that they're not one of the 4 best teams in the country, even if they lose today. Now, they can't get their doors blown off, right? But if they lose a close game, I think you can have 3 teams in the SEC game.
And that's my thing, right? I don't care about if the 3 of the 4 best teams are in one conference. If we feel like they're 3 of the 4 best teams or 4 of the best teams in college football, they should be in the playoffs. What I don't want to see is these lopsided CFP semifinal games that we've been seeing the last 2 years.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see if TCU ends up going undefeated, if Clemson ends up going undefeated. Obviously, Michigan and Ohio State will figure themselves out. But it'll be a very interesting situation just to see, especially how close these games in the SEC are going to be. Okay, let's play a little game called Bowl or No Bowl. While those teams are good for bowl games, obviously, there's a few teams that are out there whose bowl season is in jeopardy, so we're going to play a game. All right, Iowa State, bowl or no bowl?
I'm going no bowl. I think, some of the games are winnable. I just don't trust them. They have not looked like that Matt Campbell Iowa State teams that we've seen for the past few years. I don't see it happening for them.
Yeah, I'm going to go no bowl, but shout out to wide receiver Xavier Hutchinson, balling out this year.
All right, Florida, they're at 500 right now, 4-4. What do you think?
I think they're going. I think they're going to get a chance to get a bowl win. I just love their quarterback, Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be a pro's pro, even though he had some ups and downs this season. Got to get more consistent, but I'm going to go bowling.
I'm going to go bowl, too. They're going to beat A&M today in College Station. They got Vanderbilt on that schedule, right? Florida State, that's a winnable game. South Carolina, that's a winnable game. I mean, I don't think they're going to win all 4 of those, but they could absolutely do it.
All right, Iowa is also 4-4. What do you think? Bowl or no bowl?
They really shouldn't, but they're going to find a way. And I really don't have any explanation for that other than this is what they do. Even in their down years, they're going to end up, in some rinky-dink bowl, and it'll be fine. And you know what? They'll probably win that game, too.
You know what? I'm going to go no bowl because you say they're going to find a way. In the midst of finding a way, can they find an offense as well? Because it's been non-existent the last few years.
All right. Be careful what you guys say here. Now, Miami is 4-4.
Wait,
currently at
Christine,
500.
are you a Miami fan?
Are you bowl or no bowl for the Canes?
I mean,
it's a sold-out game, okay? They have a sold-out game today.
Let's just pull the curtain down here for a minute. Okay. I could be completely objective here and give you a reasoning as to why I actually do or don't think Miami is going to. I'm just going to say that they're not just to upset Christine. That's about it. So no.
No.
Oh my gosh. I'll say bowl, okay? I'll say bowl. And they're going to get it done. It's a sold-out game today.
Chicken noodle soup?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bowl of chicken broth?
Okay, let's go to Michigan State. They're 3-5. They've really been struggling lately. What do you think?
Which school?
AC. Michigan State.
Michigan State? Oh, no. I don't like the trajectory of this team and where they're headed.
Right.
I think they really took a step back this season. Peyton Thorne and that offense and those receivers, and they lost a lot as well.
Right.
So it's a lot of production they lost offensively and defensively, but I don't think they have what it takes to go bowling this year.
Right.
It don't look good. I mean, those Rutgers and Indiana games look like ones that, those have to be the ones that you get. Maybe you get one of them, but it's not looking good for them. Honestly, I hate seeing it for Mel Tucker in this year right now after he signed a big contract.
Right. Things looking rough at Michigan State just in general. We saw what happened last week. We won't talk about it. Who do you guys have in this matchup, though?
I got Tennessee as I'm salsa dancing.
Tennessee definitely the underdog in this one. Lyles, you agree?
I also got Tennessee. We and HD were talking about this too. Not Silas statistically, but in terms of the way this season's going, they feel like 2019 LSU. I got Tennessee today.
Okay. Are you going to pull out some dance moves and see what we're doing?
I mean, I already wore out all my dancing. I'm not going to lie, guys. I need some caffeine.
He'll dance off camera. Thank you guys for watching Countdown to College Game Day presented by Dr. Pepper. We will see you next week.
Rest in peace, take off.